Welcome to the Killer Innovation Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Innovators Studio. Today is the third episode in a 5-part series that I've been running on mastering creative thinking skills. In this episode today, we're going to dive into aesthetic thinking and its role in your creative process. Have you ever wondered why some things just look really cool? They just make you feel good when you use it, whether that's an accessory, a purse, a wallet, a gadget device, a car. Well, I'm here to break it down for you and show you how to apply aesthetic thinking to your own creative projects. Now, trust me, once you start thinking aesthetically, you'll never look at things the same way ever again. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll start seeing beauty and creativity in a whole new way. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more awesome content, and you don't want to miss the rest of the Creative Thinking series. So, let's get started. The ability to stand out is more important than ever, and aesthetic thinking is the secret ingredient that makes all the difference. Whether you're an entrepreneur designing that next great product, or you're an artist striving to create a masterpiece, the power of aesthetic thinking cannot be overstated. It goes beyond mere visual appeal. It integrates function with beauty. It creates an experience that captivates and resonates deeper than just what color it is or all the other bells and whistles you may throw onto a product. The mastery of aesthetic thinking can transform mundane tasks and activities that your customers use into memorable moments and turn ordinary products into objects of desire. And you can use this both professionally and personally. Embracing this approach not only enhances creativity, but it also creates a connection, a bond with your customer. Now, let's talk about aesthetic thinking in a little more detail. Aesthetic thinking can be defined as the deliberate consideration of beauty and design in any creative process. It involves an awareness of how visual elements such as color, shape, texture come together to produce a pleasing, effect, a harmonious effect across all of the senses. Now, unlike purely functional approaches that prioritize utility and efficiency in aesthetics, thinking integrates form and function, ensuring that the end product is not only helpful, but also visually and emotionally appealing. In contrast to other creative thinking styles such as convergent thinking, which focuses on logic and structured methods, aesthetic thinking places a high value on the sensory experiences and the resulting emotional impact. Convergent thinking might lead you to the most efficient way to solve a very particular problem, but it doesn't consider the user's emotional engagement with the solution. For example, compare the old feature phones from way back to today's iPhone. Feature phones are functional. They do their job well, makes a call, receives a call, sends a text message, but they lack the aesthetic appeal that draws people to Apple's products. The iPhone's sleek design and the user interface and the App Store make it an object of desire, not just a tool for communication. So, why does it all matter? Well, aesthetic thinking matters because it can transform mundane tasks into these memorable moments and ordinary products into these products of desire. And that's what everybody wants to do. In today's fiercely competitive world, it's no longer enough to have a great product or service. You must package it in a way that captures attention and creates an emotional connection with your target audience. Aesthetic thinking is not limited to the visuals. It extends to all the senses. It considers, the touch Even smell. Yes, smell. My previous life, we literally would smell the products when they came off the assembly line. And we would figure out ways to put things into the product to change the smell. Think about the new car smell and how everybody wants that. And also the sound, the clicking noise, the tactile feels. So, for example, consider how a luxury hotel creates an atmosphere that gives you the sense of elegance and comfort while creating a visually appealing decor, but also all the way down through the softness of its linens and the soothing music that's in the background. I once stayed at a very boutique hotel in Paris many years ago, and they had a stereo system in this room that was like more than I ever paid for a car. But the music and the way it sound, it just enveloped the room, and it created a sensory experience literally as soon as I walked into the room. The unique value of aesthetic thinking lies in its ability to humanize and enrich, enhance, improve the overall user experience. Now, when combined with other creative skills, it results in products and services, experiences, solutions that are not only effective, but also inspiring and downright delightful for your customers. This fusion of functionality and beauty is what sets truly innovative creations apart, making aesthetic thinking an indispensable tool in the toolbox of creativity. So, what's the science? Is there really a science behind aesthetic thinking? Recent research in neuroscience has shed light on the processes underlying aesthetic thinking, revealing that our appreciation of beauty and artistic expression is deeply rooted into our brain's natural architecture. Studies using brain imaging techniques, such as functional MRI, have shown that engagement with aesthetically pleasing stimuli activates multiple areas of the brain, including the prefrontal cortex, which is associated with complex cognitive functions, and the limbic system, responsible for emotional responses. One key finding is that the brain's reward system, involving neurotransmitters like dopamine, plays a significant role in our aesthetic experiences. So when we encounter something we perceive as beautiful and artistically satisfying, these reward pathways are stimulated, leading to feelings of pleasure and satisfaction. This biological response underscores the natural basis of aesthetic thinking, suggesting that our brains are wired to seek and appreciate beautiful things. Think about it when you see a car that triggers that emotional response to you. Aesthetic thinking, despite its profound benefits, can be very challenging to cultivate and integrate into everyday practices. So here are several common obstacles that tend to hinder people from thinking aesthetically. One, a rational mindset. Our educational and professional systems often prioritize rational, analytical thinking over creative aesthetic thought. This emphasis on logic and efficiency can stifle our natural inclination towards beauty and creativity, making it difficult to engage in aesthetic thinking. Two, time constraints. In a fast-paced world, there's often a lot of pressure to produce results quickly. This urgency can lead us to prioritize function over form, neglecting the thoughtful, deliberative process required for aesthetic consideration. 3. Lack of exposure. Limited exposure to varied artistic and design experiences can hinder one's ability to think aesthetically. Without regular interaction with different forms of beauty and creativity, individuals may struggle to develop an appreciation for aesthetics and how to incorporate it into their work. Now, originally my major was an architect, so therefore I have a more visual kind of thought process. But I'll tell you, when I had the industrial design team reporting to me at Hewlett Packard, where I was CTO, The interaction with that team, Mark Solomon, Glenn Wong, and the rest of that design team, who actually are still at HP, but just that going over into their studio and hanging out and brainstorming and having ideas, that diversity helped feed my aesthetic thinking. You have to go interact. Number 4, cultural attitudes. We suffer from societal norms, the pressure, the peer pressure of how things are normally done within the culture you operate in. And values can impact the acceptance and importance of aesthetic thinking. In cultures where practicality and efficiency are highly valued, there may be less emphasis on the importance of beauty in everyday life and work, discouraging all of us from aesthetic considerations. This plays out in a world where if the design is very upfront, in your face, over the top for a segment or a culture that is focusing on, just get it done, and or a segment of the population that's struggling economically, the design kind of is a put off. So you have to be sensitive to the cultures you operate in. Number 5, fear of judgment. The subjective nature of beauty can lead to a fear that we're going to be judged or we're going to be criticized. Individuals may just shy away from incorporating aesthetic elements for fear that others will not appreciate or understand their vision. It's the negative thought we have going around in our heads. 6, resource limitations. Aesthetic thinking requires an additional commitment of resources such as people, time, and money, and materials. You may, in your design process, come up with something that requires a more expensive material to be used in the production. And you have to consider these additional expenses, but they may not be feasible or even justifiable, making it challenging to incorporate aesthetic consideration into your work. Number 7, self-doubt. Many people just doubt their own creative abilities and knowledge of aesthetics, which can prevent them from fully embracing aesthetic thinking. This lack of confidence can be a significant barrier to developing your own sensibilities. My advice, you don't have to have all of your creative thinking skills. If you are strong in some areas like divergent thinking, convergent thinking, aesthetic thinking, wherever you're at on all the skill sets, if you've got a gap, work on it, but also bring somebody alongside. Find a partner who naturally has that. But you can cultivate your own aesthetic skills. So to overcome these barriers, you need to require a conscious process that involves nurturing your creativity and broadening your exposure to artistic considerations. And that means putting yourself in environments that encourages aesthetic appreciation. So here's a guide, some steps to develop your aesthetic thinking ability. 1, engage with different art forms. Regularly expose yourself to various forms of art, such as paintings, sculptures, music, literature, theater. Go to a museum, hang out. Attend galleries, go to concerts, go to performances. Immerse yourself in a diverse set of artistic expressions. This exposure will broaden your appreciation and understanding of aesthetics. Practice deliberate observation. Don't go just stand there and say, "Oh, that's pretty," and move on. Take the time to observe your surroundings with a keen eye for detail. Why do you like it? What is the emotional response it's triggering? Notice the colors, the textures, the patterns, the compositions. Look at it in the context of the environment that it's in. Practicing your observation skills can enhance your ability to see beauty in the mundane and sharpen your aesthetic perception. 3, create regularly. Set aside time for creative activities such as drawing or writing or designing, crafting. The act of creating will help you develop your aesthetic sensibilities and express your unique vision. Regularly practice in anything can improve your skills, and it also helps build your confidence. They talk about the 10,000 hour rule. You have to do something for 10,000 hours before you can really consider yourself an expert. If you're going to be doing aesthetics, you got to put the time in. And in many cases, for the first umpteen number of efforts, it may not be something you even show to anybody, but you got to practice. 4, study aesthetic principles. Familiarize yourself with the fundamental principles of aesthetics, such as balance, contrast, harmony, proportion, rhythm. Understanding these concepts can provide a framework for you to evaluate in creating aesthetically pleasing works. 5, collaborate with others. Engage in collaborative projects that involve aesthetic considerations. Working with others can introduce you to their new ideas, their techniques for aesthetics, perspectives, and it enriches your own aesthetic thinking, enabling you to learn from different approaches. 6, stay curious. Cultivate a sense of curiosity and a willingness to explore new ideas and forms of artistic expression. Take part in workshops, courses, online tutorials to continually learn and expand your aesthetic knowledge. Number 7, visit natural environments. This is one that's very personal to me. Spending time in nature can enhance your aesthetic appreciation. If you were to come visit me in Colorado, up here near the Rocky Mountain National Park, you cannot be inspired when you sit and you gaze onto Long's Peak with its snow caps, the beautiful sunny days here in Colorado. That is one of my key sources for inspiration for my work. But observing the natural world, from landscapes to small details like flowers or leaves, and provides a rich source of just inspiration in seeing how nature, you can use something that I call biomimicry to copy nature into the innovation works or the creative problem solving that you're trying to do. Now, to help you along, that builds up your skills, but there are some tools and techniques. So using specific tools and techniques can help you develop your aesthetic skills and create aesthetically pleasing designs. It's aligning the right resources into strategies, and you can train your mind to be more easily apply aesthetics to the work you do. First up, and one that you've probably heard of, if not, there's tons of videos and podcasts out there on mood boards. What a mood board is literally it's a visual collage that captures the essence of a particular concept or theme or project. And it's through images and colors and textures and text. Mood boards historically typically were literally like cork boards or pin push boards or whiteboards that you could tape to. Create a mood board for a project to explore different aesthetic ideas and influences, colors, materials, cut pictures out of similar products or products that inspire and you want to create that emotional feel. Use physical materials or digital tools like Pinterest. You can create your mood boards. And in fact, I'm a big believer of Pinterest. And regularly updating your mood board can help refine your vision and keep your ideas cohesive. If you want, you can follow me over on Pinterest. You can see my public mood boards. You just search for Phil McKinney, all one word, and you can follow along. The other is material collections. In the case of material collections, that's collecting up materials that have a certain, that kind of tickle your fancy. Now, in the case again at HP, I tried to find it, couldn't find it here in the studio today, but we have a big case of different materials, plastics, metals, aluminums, with different paint schemes, color permutations, texture feels to it, soft rubber to hard plastics, etc. And we literally would pull those out when we were starting to work on projects. Now, you don't have to have something as elaborate as that. You can literally, if you find an item that feels really good or it creates an emotional response to it, throw it in a box and keep it. And then pull them out, dust them off, look at them, for your inspirations. Now, in my case, one of the things that we did when I was at HP is we did a lot of prototyping work, and we would try out different materials. This is actually foam core, very, very light, very thin, but what it does do is this is a case of using aesthetic design to get size and feel. If you notice, this was a tablet project. If you go back, you can find some YouTube videos from way back in the day, 2010, I think, at CES, or 2009, where we announced the product that came off of this foam core design. But we would do these kinds of things for aesthetic works to get, could it fit into an average hand size? And then we would actually weight them. How long or how heavy was the product going to be? That's one example. The other is mobile phones. We did all the work on, I had all the work for the HP phones. This is one of the Palm phone prototypes. And this was a project whereby we would actually do sliding keyboards and try them out. We had a rubberized, soft rubber backing, hard glass front, kind of a feel to it. And again, we would build these, weight them to the real weight, and then put them in users' hands. We would try them ourselves. How does it feel? How does it smell? How is it going to look on the shelf? How easy is it going to be to get it in and out of a pants pocket or out of a purse? All part of the aesthetic design, because devices, particularly devices from the HP world, was all about creating an emotional connection. And in fact, me pulling these, a bunch of these devices out, today to get ready to record this show, actually generated a lot of memories. There's probably some of these devices I wish I could power back up and get functioning, because I really like some of these form functions. But again, part of aesthetics, it's not just about does the phone work. How do you create an emotional connection for that? So one, creating those mood boards. In this case, that's a physical, tactile. These are some things I really like, the soft texture on the back. If I was working on a design for a client, this is the kind of devices I would be laying around to use as inspiration, as an example. 2, sketchbooks and journals. I've got sketchbooks. In fact, here's one of my sketchbooks. I've got a little pocket built onto the front of it, carries my sketching pens on it, always within arm's reach. And this is the personal space. I can record, I can draw, I can sketch, make reflections. I make it into a habit to write daily. Document your observations, your inspirations, your aesthetic experiments over time, requiring, this constant work can reveal patterns and it guides your creative direction. 3, photography. Photography is a powerful tool for capturing and studying visual elements such as composition, lighting, and color. Now, you can carry a camera. Most of us don't anymore, but effectively, we have a camera with us in our phones. But so if you see something that inspires you, snap a picture. Then you can either put it onto your Pinterest, you can put it onto your mood board if you're doing a physical mood board, whatever catches your eye. Experiment with different types of photography and different elements, or different things you're particularly highlighting, whether it's fine detail or big picture. Try it, play around with it. You don't have to be a professional photographer. You're just capturing. 4, design software. Design software such as Adobe Creative Suite or Canva or SketchUp offers powerful tools for creating and manipulating visual content. You can use design software to practice creating digital art, graphics, layouts. You can experiment. It doesn't take you a lot of time. You can whip it around pretty quickly. And you can experiment with different tools and effects and techniques. There's a lot of really great training programs out there. Kirk Nelson, who actually does all of the audio and video work for the podcast and the YouTube channel and has been doing it for a long time, has some phenomenal training courses that he has published through some other partnerships on all of the Adobe tools. So you can go search for Kirk Nelson, Pixel Pro. You can check out his if you want to learn from how to use some of the Adobe tools. Number 5, color wheels and swatches. Humans, we are very color oriented when it comes to aesthetics. Colors matter. And when you talk about color wheels, there's common colors that look good together, and they have different references and terminologies. And so you want to try those out. And so therefore, it allows you to experiment with color theory. Use a color wheel to explore relationships between colors, such as colors that are complementary or analogous or triadic schemes. If you don't understand what that means, search for it, learn it. If you're going to be doing product design, innovations in products, artwork, graphics, anything, you need to understand proper color schemes. Swatches can help you select and compare colors for your projects, ensuring balancing and harmonious palettes. 6, the hardest thing, critique sessions. You learn by having your work criticized, given feedback. We've talked about this. There's a video that I did a month or 2 ago on, what to do when you get negative feedback on your idea. Go back, listen to that, come back, think about it from the standpoint of your aesthetics. But it involves presenting your work to a group and getting feedback, getting a discussion. Join a group of creatives where everybody is sharing their work and looking for that feedback. You can participate in it, or you can organize it yourself. Regular sessions with peers, mentors, online communities, wherever. Constructive criticism can offer new perspectives, highlight areas for improvement, and validate your aesthetic decisions. And 7, workshops and courses. Take workshops and courses that they provide a structured learning environment rather than you just bouncing around YouTube channels. Go take a course and learn new skills, learn new techniques. Enroll in workshops. Take online courses like what I just mentioned with Kirk Nelson at Pixel Pro, and try out and learn, the tools, or learn, the aesthetic side of creativity. And again, multiple disciplines. It could be graphic design, photography, painting. Now, these settings offer hands-on experience and expert guidance to deepen your aesthetic knowledge. Number 8, inspirational media. Whether it's books, films, online resources, they can serve as a vast, vast reservoir of inspiration. That's why I'm a big fan of Pinterest. Consume a diverse range of media. Don't get locked into just looking at one or just one artist. Find whatever it is that inspires you and analyze the aesthetic elements within these works, understanding what makes them effective and compelling. Then apply those to your own work. Now, let's talk real quickly about the real world application of aesthetic thinking. It permeates everything, both the function and the beauty. And if you integrate it into your principles, then across different industries, it can be applied to almost anything and everything, and it can captivate and inspire. But here are just a few examples. One, we've talked about this already, Apple products. Johnny Ive and Steve Jobs, great individuals, did some amazing work as a team. Steve Jobs would actually go sit in the design studio at Apple headquarters and have lunch almost every day with Johnny. And Johnny was head of design at Apple. And, you think about it, Apple's product designs, from that sleek iPhone to all of the other products that have come out, it really is the thought leader of aesthetic thinking in technology. The emphasis on minimalism and clean lines and intuitive interfaces, it just sets Apple apart, and why they have such a devoted and passionate customer base. 2, Frank Lloyd Wright's architecture. I started off as an architecture major. You knew you weren't going to get out of this video without me talking about architecture. But Frank Lloyd Wright, renowned architect from my hometown, Chicago, exhibited a strong sense of aesthetic thinking. He went off on his own. He did not align with the current thinking. His works, including the famous Falling Water House, and integrate natural landscapes with built environments seamlessly, creating visually stunning and functional spaces. I've dragged my wife and my kids. I think I've visited not quite 100%, but I'm in the high 90% of all Frank Lloyd Wright houses that are still standing. I've dragged my family through it. And his thought process, and his creativity is a real inspiration for me. You can also deal with it with just artwork. Van Gogh's Starry Night. We've all seen pictures of it. It's online. It exemplifies that aesthetic thinking and fine art, swirling patterns and vibrant colors, and it's got a lot of depth to it. It continues to inspire other artists and appreciates the originality of that kind of art. The Guggenheim Museum is designed by Frank Gehry, another architect. Yes, I know. Just stay here with me. Indulge me on my passion for architecture. But the Guggenheim Museum in Balboa, Spain, is a testament to aesthetic thinking. Gehry is very well known for these convoluted curves. You look at it and you go, how do you make a building that stands with those kinds of designs? Whether it's, Gehry did the Disney amphitheater in L.A. He did MIT's, some buildings at MIT. Balboa, in fact, is so distinctive in its design that it actually puts Balboa as a town on the map in their tourism. People going there to see this museum and to see the Frank Gehry design just has totally transformed Balboa and the surrounding area into a major tourist destination. Number 5, Japanese Zen gardens. The Zen gardens are crafted carefully for aesthetic principles such as balance and harmony and simplicity. These gardens create a serene, contemplative space that are both beautiful and just spiritually enriching. If you haven't experienced one, go walk through one. 6, Nike's branding. Yes, aesthetic involved in branding. Now, Nike, it's everything from the iconic swoosh to the compelling advertising campaigns. It just tells you that they apply aesthetic thinking to everything in the marketing activities. It's messaging consistently evoking a sense of athleticism and aspiration. That's that emotional feeling in that aesthetic design. The Hermes furniture design, the designs of Charles and Ray Eames, such as the Eames lounge chair, reflect a combination of comfort and elegance. There's a great video out there, an actual documentary film on Ray and Charles. If you're into any kind of furniture design or you just like furniture, go watch that film. It is fantastic. Fantastic. 8, the Louvre Pyramid. If you've ever been to Paris and you've gone to the Louvre, there's a glass pyramid at the Louvre, and you actually go down below the pyramid is where you enter the Louvre, one of the greatest art museums in the world. It's designed by I.M. Pei, who actually has done a number of skyscraper buildings in New York. He's very well known. And the pyramid takes a classic design of a pyramid, but brings a whole new set of aesthetics to it. And it not only fits in well with the Louvre's historic architecture, but it creates a very unique visual identity. And number 9, the High Line in New York City. The High Line is an elevated urban park. It used to be an elevated train track where some true visionaries conceived this as a walking park. So you're actually walking kind of above the city in New York City. And it turns it into a green space. Its design incorporates elements of contemporary landscaping and art installations. It illustrates really how aesthetic thinking can transform urban environments. So, in reality, aesthetic thinking can be applied to anything, whether it's urban design, product design, architecture, hotel rooms, restaurant experiences, new kinds of museum experiences. I mean, I did a design years ago. I designed an entire exhibit wing at the museum in Washington, D.C., and the amount of time it took to think about spatial experience of walking into a museum exhibit. It's called The New Media. You can check it out. You can find it online. There's a bunch of videos of that exhibit space. But I have to tell you, that was probably one of my hardest projects that I ever done. And I'd never done anything like that before. So it wasn't like I could build on that experience. I had to apply my experiences from other areas. So aesthetic design fits everywhere. It's not about just creating visually appealing work. It's really about honing a deeper sense of awareness and intentionality in your creative efforts. And by integrating aesthetic principles, you can expand the creativity you bring to your work. As you face the future, the ability to think aesthetically empowers you to navigate challenges and innovate confidently beyond the traditional bounds. Embrace aesthetic thinking as a vital tool in your creative toolbox, even if you don't think of yourself as being like artistic or aesthetically driven. You still need this in your toolbox. That's what will take your innovation effort, your ideas, beyond the mundane to a passion. So, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring content. We'll see you next week in the next part of this 5-part series. Bye-bye.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, this has been the Killer Innovation Show on the Innovators Network.